I just never know what to expect with their music. There's always a new twist or turn it goes down. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album One of Us is the Killer by the Dillinger Escape Plan. Now the Dillinger Escape Plan is a band I've been diving into here on my channel. I've really been getting into their albums, and this is their 5th studio album that they released in 2013. The last one of theirs that I heard was their 4th album, Option Paralysis, which in true Dillinger fashion just went crazy with its sound. It was so experimental. So I am very excited now to dive into One of Us is the Killer and just see what I'm going to think of this album. Alright, so up first is track 1, which is called Prancer. Man, he goes crazy with the vocals. As intense as this song is, there is something very structured about it at the same time. Like it almost has this methodical quality to it. It would not be a Dillinger Escape Plan album without a change up like that. That was track 1, Prancer. So much energy just unleashed on that track, but like I said, they have a great way of keeping it very put together at the same time, if that makes sense. Like their music just sounds really calculated and exact. I loved the percussion on that track. That was for sure a standout. And I was also noticing a lot going on behind the main instrumentals too. I kept picking up on all of these little sounds they would fuse on from time to time. But moving on to track 2 is When I Lost My Bet. Again, I love this percussion here at the beginning. Those vocals, how they were doing them there was different. They keep fusing on this chime too that I notice. Man, it's just like a barrage of noise coming at me. It's like all of these quick bursts of sound. This part has such a smooth, kind of modern, atmospheric quality to it. That was track 2, When I Lost My Bet. That was a really fun one. So many change-ups going on. It always impresses me with the Dillinger Escape Plan how varied each of their individual tracks are. They throw so many different curveballs and change-ups with the sound on each one. Yet again, the drums on that one were still just really shining. I don't know what it is about this album. I just keep picking up on those drums. They're awesome. They're bringing this certain, almost restrained intensity to this album. I'm just really, really enjoying the drums. Moving on to track 3 is the title track, One of Us is the Killer. One of us must die, but the killer won't survive. I love how soft this song is for Dillinger. There's like a gentleness to this, kind of a smoothness that their music usually doesn't have. It's usually very quick and sharp and intense. Man, I love how atmospheric this part is. It's got this really strong kind of reverberated echoiness to it. Well, that was track 3, One of Us is the Killer. I loved that song. Very atmospheric. It was kind of like it slowly crept up on you with the intensity, like they just pulled it back a little bit. Kind of a different sound for Dillinger. I like how they kind of slowed things down a little bit, yet it still had a ton of intensity to it. But I'm going to move on to track 4, which is called Hero of the Soviet Union. Now we're right back with the intensity. It's like they're just firing a machine gun off. It's just so quick and sudden. Some weird electronic sounds there, it sounded like. You smear your filth across the world. Man, he's just delivering these lines with so much visceral intensity. I love it. That was track 4, Hero of the Soviet Union. They definitely always utilize a lot of experimentation with their music and different sounds and things, and that track was a good example of that. It was this brutally intense metalcore song, but they would fuse on these instrumentals and electronic things from time to time that give it such a playful edge, almost a jazziness, which kind of relaxes you a little bit when you're listening to it. It's not just all intensity all the time. Moving on to track 5 is Nothing's Funny. Things that they're doing with the vocals just in the first 48 seconds of this song are so varied. God, their instrumentals just go so quickly. There's so much speediness to their music. That was track 5, Nothing's Funny. My favorite part of that song was just the sheer variety of vocal styles that they were doing, how it got really light on the chorus, kind of a jazzy quality almost at times, but then it got really dark and restrained and kind of echoey at parts too, sort of a haunted quality to it. Greg's vocals are just so suited for so many different styles, and they really lean into that. They kind of take advantage of his wide vocal range. Up next is track 6, which is Understanding Decay. It almost sounds like a crow cawing here at the start. I love how you have these intense beats coming from the percussion, and then they've also got those weird, like, kind of trumpety sounds going on too. It's like the intense and the playful paired together at the same time. Alright, now we're getting a more atmospheric part here. It's like they're in a cave or something. There's this really dark echoiness to it. That was track 6, Understanding Decay. They just brought a lot of atmosphere to that. They somehow make their music so filled with instrumentals. There's so much going on, and then they can just tear that all away, and you're left with like this really cold, echoey, sort of empty sound, and they go back and forth on that a lot with their music. Up next is track 7, which is called Paranoia Shields. I love how kind of sinister he makes his voice at times. I just heard like this quick little electronic thing from a keyboard, it sounded like. Okay, this song just completely changed. That was track 7, Paranoia Shields. Arguably the song with the most drastic change up on this album, which is definitely saying something. That one just went from all out intensity, and then they stopped it so suddenly, and there was that really, really quiet, restrained part there. And that one too, man, I was just picking up on all of these fun little infusions of electronic stuff, it sounds like. They don't go super heavy-handed with it, but it just adds like these little flashes of playfulness from time to time that I absolutely love. But moving on to track 8, we have CH3752682777ARS. So I don't know what the meaning of that track name is. I love that tambourine that they're using. It's kind of random. I just never know what to expect with their music. There's always a new twist or turn it goes down. There's some like really faint, kind of distorted voices going on here. That was track 8, CH3752682777ARS. A very atmospheric one. There was something so eerie about the way that song started. Kind of like an interlude too. There weren't any main vocals on that one, although there were those really distorted, quiet voices there at the end. It sounded very cinematic, like it could have fit in on a movie soundtrack or something. But I'm going to move on to track 9, which is called Magic That I Held You Prisoner. That was a really cool transition. I love these chimes that they keep using. It's such a juxtaposition between the sharp intensity of his vocal delivery at times, and then those chimes come in and they bring such a light kind of sunniness almost to this song. That was track 9, Magic That I Held You Prisoner. Yet again with the dynamics on that one, they just fuse so much in one song, like the light and the heavy and the intense and the relaxed and kind of slowed down and jazzy. I loved how intense the instrumentals would go. It is almost like a machine gun going off. It's just like this blistering intensity, and then all of a sudden they just bring in like a playful or jazzy moment, and it's such a contrast. I just love how they do that. Up next is track 10, called Crossburner. Such a heaviness to this one, man. Oh man, I loved that part there where there was that whispered vocal and then they just ripped the song open with this intensity. This electric guitar now, that's a new sound. There's something so dark and sinister about this track. It just sounds like a bunch of electronic noises all of a sudden just coming right at you. That was track 10, Crossburner. Just a blistering vocal delivery from Greg on that one. I love how it started off so minimalistic and really eerie, and then all of a sudden they just brought that energy. Very atmospheric too. They were doing a lot of kind of echoey sounding, reverberated stuff on that one, and then just how they would pull it in and then punch you in the face with the energy. It was just going back and forth so much on that track. But I'm going to move on to the final song on One of Us is the Killer, which is track 11 called The Threat Posed by Nuclear Weapons. I love how with their music they have like multiple guitars going on at the same time. It sounds like there's so much driving intensity, but then there's these really fun, more jazzy electronic guitars going on too. I love the piano coming in here. You just have all of this denseness and intensity, and then that piano is so jarring. It stands out. I never get sick of his voice, man. He just spits out these words with so much intensity. Well, that was track 11, The Threat Posed by Nuclear Weapons. Certainly an intense way to bring this album to a close, that's for sure. His vocals there at the end were just going insane. And I just loved the little melodic touches on that one with the piano. That was definitely a favorite part of that song. I wasn't expecting to hear it. It's like they'll just punch you in the face 1 second and then rock you to sleep in their arms in the next. It's so weird how they do that with their music, but I absolutely love it. Well, that concludes my reaction to One of Us is the Killer, the 5th studio album from the Dillinger Escape Plan. This was yet another addition to their discography that I absolutely loved. The Dillinger Escape Plan always delivers on the fun experimentation, the intensity, and they just wrap it into one really cohesive sound. And Greg's vocals too on this thing were absolutely crazy. He brings so much variety to his voice. For me, the standout tracks were the title track, One of Us is the Killer. That one was a little bit more restrained, but I absolutely loved the atmosphere and the more slowed down aspect to that song. And I also really liked track 6, Understanding Decay. Yet again, that was one that kind of utilized a more haunting, sort of eerie sound to it. And I think my favorite upon first listen is track 10, Crossburner. I just loved how they would pull it in and then they would bring so much intensity and they'd go back and forth on that a lot. And now I have one album left in my journey through the Dillinger Escape Plan's music, their 6th and final studio album, Dissociation. So I am very excited to check that one out. And yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.